So, former police officer Kim Potter is on trial for the killing of Daunte Wright. Let's take just a few minutes to talk about how somebody can actually be convicted of manslaughter, even if the killing was not intentional. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So I want to take a few minutes to talk about the trial that is just getting underway out in Minnesota. It involves a former police officer by the name of Kim Potter, who is on trial for manslaughter for the killing of an unarmed black motorist, a young man named Daunte Wright. Here's today's headline from USA Today. Former Minnesota officer Kim Potter goes on trial for Daunte Wright shooting with wrong gun defense. Now, the defense has tried to soften the ground by giving interviews and saying, this was a mistake. It was an innocent mistake, and their client, Kim Potter, should not be held criminally responsible. And what happened, you may have seen the video, is former officer Potter apparently confused her gun and her taser and believed she was tasing Daunte when in fact she was shooting and killing Daunte. And this raises a question that a lot of people have, which is that, well, if it's a mistake or if it's an accident, can you still hold somebody criminally responsible? And the answer is absolutely yes. Here's how. Just labeling something a mistake doesn't mean it is not criminal. And the defense calling it an innocent mistake doesn't mean it is innocent in the eyes of the law. There are laws in virtually every jurisdiction in our nation that allow for criminal liability even for unintentional conduct. For example, the crime of manslaughter. And there are 2 manslaughter charges that have been indicted against Kim Potter, and that's what she's on trial for, first-degree manslaughter and second-degree manslaughter. I'm not going to get down into the weeds of the different elements of the different degrees of manslaughter in the Kim Potter trial, though I may talk about that in a future video. But at its core, manslaughter involves somebody who engages in conduct that is negligent or grossly negligent or reckless. Not necessarily intentional conduct. Negligent or reckless conduct where that negligent or reckless conduct is reasonably likely to result in the death or serious bodily injury of another, and that the conduct thereby causes the death of another. And causation means that the conduct is a substantial factor in bringing about the death. So even if former officer Potter confused her gun and her taser, she can be convicted if the jury concludes that she was negligent or reckless and her reckless conduct was reasonably likely to result in death or serious bodily injury to another. And when you watch the videotape of the shooting, it seems pretty clear that Kim Potter thought she had her taser because she said, I'm going to tase you, I'm going to tase you. And then she said, taser, taser, taser. And then she fired her gun, her service weapon, not her taser. And then she blurted out an expletive, oh my, whatever, I shot him, I'm going to jail, or words to that effect. I think when you take the evidence as a whole, it seems like she confused her gun and her taser. It doesn't seem like she intentionally and maliciously murdered Daunte Wright and then pretended she confused her gun for her taser. But even though it's a mistake, it doesn't make it an innocent mistake. It was a reckless mistake. It was a grossly negligent mistake. It was a mistake that was reasonably likely to result in death or serious bodily injury to another. And in fact, she killed Daunte Wright in the process. And this case boiled down to its essence. No, we haven't seen a single piece of evidence admitted yet because the trial is just beginning with jury selection. But it seems like, boiled down to its essence, here is how I see this case. We entrust to the police deadly weapons and non-deadly weapons, and the citizens deserve officers who won't recklessly confuse those two and in the process take the life of a citizen. So even though this may have been the product of a mistake and an unintentional shooting, it feels like, based on the video and based on a police officer with 26 years of experience on the force, who was also entrusted to train other police officers, it feels like this is the kind of gross negligence and recklessness that violate the law. So it's impossible to predict what the verdict will be, but when you review the videotape and you think about the law and what we expect of police officers that we entrust with knowing the difference between deadly and non-deadly weapons that they carry, it feels like this one could result in a conviction of one of the two counts of manslaughter. But we will try to follow the trial as the evidence unfolds and see where the evidence takes us and see where the arguments of the prosecutor and of the defense take us, and most importantly, take the jury. So friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.